My older son got my younger son's girlfriend pregnant. I told the betrayed son to attend the baby shower, fix his mental health, and stop blaming his brother. He cut off the entire family and I still don't understand why. I need someone to explain this to me because nobody in my life will. My younger son Joel hasn't spoken to me in 2 years. He blocked my number, blocked my email, returned every letter I sent unopened. I drove to his apartment once and the doorman said, "Ma'am, your name is on a list. I'm not allowed to let you up." A list. My own son put me on a do not admit list. I've told this story to 4 different people. My sister. My hairdresser. A woman at church. A therapist I saw twice before I quit. All 4 of them looked at me the same way. Like I was missing something obvious. Like the answer was sitting on my face and I couldn't feel it. So I'm writing it here. The whole thing. Start to finish. Because maybe if I type it out and strangers read it, somebody will finally tell me clearly what I did wrong. Because I genuinely don't know. Or I didn't. I'm starting to. That's why I'm writing this at 2 a.m. instead of sleeping. Because the things I've been telling myself for 2 years are starting to sound different when I say them out loud. Joel is 26. My younger son. Quiet kid. Always was. Never gave me trouble. Never raised his voice. Never slammed a door. He got good grades. Worked part-time through college. Got a degree in accounting. Found a job at a firm downtown within 3 months of graduating. Paid his own rent by 23. Didn't ask me for money. Didn't ask me for anything actually. That was Joel. He handled things. Quietly. Efficiently. Without drama. Travis is 29. My older son. Louder. Bigger personality. The one who walked into a room and everybody noticed. Travis played football in high school. Homecoming court. Prom king. Scholarship to a state school. Dropped out after 2 years. Came home. Worked construction for a while. Then bartending. Then personal training. Then back to construction. Travis always had a plan. The plans just never lasted more than 6 months. But Travis was charming. Funny. The kind of person who makes you feel like you're the most important person in the room. People loved Travis. Women loved Travis. I loved Travis. I'm going to be honest about that because it matters. I loved both my sons. But I understood Travis. He was like me. Emotional. Impulsive. Big feelings. Big reactions. Joel was like his father Hank. Reserved. Methodical. Hard to read. I always felt like I knew where I stood with Travis. With Joel I had to guess. So yeah. I favored Travis. I didn't think I did. I would have denied it to anyone who asked. But I did. I see it now. Not clearly enough maybe. But I see the shape of it. Joel dated a woman named Kendra for 3 years. Met her when he was 22. She was 21. Nursing student. Quiet like Joel. Polite. She came to every family dinner. Helped clear the table without being asked. Remembered my birthday. Sent me flowers when I had my gallbladder out. Not a text. Flowers. With a card that said, "Wishing you a fast recovery. We love you. We love you." She wrote that. And I liked Kendra. I did. But I always thought Joel could have done better. Not because Kendra wasn't good. Because Kendra wasn't exciting. She was stable and kind and predictable, and I confused those things with boring because I'm an idiot. I know that now. I didn't know it then. Joel told me around year 2 that he was going to propose. He showed me the ring. He'd saved for it. It was modest but nice. He said, "I want to do it at Christmas. At the house. With the family there." He said, "She doesn't have much family, so I want her to feel like ours is hers." I said, "That's sweet." And I meant it. But I didn't feel the excitement I should have felt. I felt like I was watching a nice thing happen to someone else. I didn't feel it in my chest the way a mother should when her son is about to take the biggest step of his life. He never got to propose. Thanksgiving. 8 months before the planned proposal. Everyone at the house. Me. Hank. Travis. Joel. Kendra. My sister Phyllis. Her husband Rob. Normal holiday. Food. Football on TV. Dishes in the sink. Kendra left early. Said she wasn't feeling well. Joel drove her home and came back. Normal night. Nobody thought anything of it. 3 weeks later Joel called me. His voice was flat. Not angry. Not sad. Flat. The way a computer reads text. No tone. No inflection. He said, "Kendra is pregnant." I said, "Oh my God." Joel. That's wonderful. He said, it's not mine. Silence. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. I said, what do you mean it's not yours? He said, I mean it's not mine. We haven't been intimate in 2 months. She told me last night. She's 8 weeks along. The math doesn't work for me. It works for someone else. I said, who? He said, ask Travis. I put my hand on the counter. I said, Joel, what are you saying? He said, I'm saying your older son has been sleeping with my girlfriend for 4 months. She told me everything. He came to her job. He pursued her. He knew she was mine. He did it anyway. And now she's pregnant. And it's his. And I'm done. He hung up. I called Travis. He answered on the first ring. Like he was expecting it. I said, Travis. Tell me Joel is wrong. Tell me this isn't true. Travis was quiet for about 3 seconds. Then he said, I'm sorry, Mom. It happened. I didn't plan it. It just happened. It just happened. 4 months of sleeping with his brother's girlfriend. 4 months of lying to everyone. 4 months of sitting across from Joel at family dinners knowing what he was doing. And he said it just happened. Like a car accident. Like weather. I should have been furious. I should have screamed. I should have hung up and called Joel back and said, I'm on your side. I believe you. This is unforgivable and I'm with you. I didn't do any of those things. I said, Travis. How could you do this? And then I said, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. That was my response to my older son impregnating my younger son's girlfriend. We'll figure it out. Like it was a scheduling conflict. Like someone double-booked the conference room. Joel didn't come to Christmas. First time in 26 years he wasn't at the house on Christmas morning. His stocking hung on the mantel. Hank stared at it twice during breakfast and didn't say anything. Travis showed up. Late. Looked uncomfortable. Kendra wasn't with him. Nobody mentioned her. After breakfast I went to Joel's apartment. Knocked on his door. He opened it. He looked thinner. His apartment was clean but empty feeling. Like the air had been sucked out. I said, Joel. Come home. It's Christmas. He said, I'm not coming home, Mom. I said, you can't spend Christmas alone. He said, I'd rather be alone than sit across from the person who did this to me while my family pretends everything is normal. I said, nobody's pretending. We're trying to get through it. Families go through hard things. He looked at me. He said, hard things? Mom. My brother got my girlfriend pregnant. That's not a hard thing. That's a betrayal. And you've been calling me for 3 weeks trying to get me to come to dinner like someone spilled wine on the carpet. I said, what do you want me to do? Disown Travis? He's my son too. He said, I want you to acknowledge what happened to me. Just once. Without immediately pivoting to how Travis is feeling or how the family needs to heal. Just once I want to hear you say, Joel, what happened to you is wrong and I'm angry for you. I said, I am angry. I said, I told Travis it was wrong. Joel said, you told Travis. Great. What did you tell me? Because every conversation we've had since this happened has been about how I need to move forward. How I need to heal. How holding on to anger will hurt me more than him. You haven't once said, I'm on your side. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Because he was right. Every call I'd made to Joel since the news had been about management. About coping. About the family unit. Not one call had been about his pain. Not one call had been about what Travis stole from him. I said, I'm on your side, Joel. He said, no you're not. If you were on my side you wouldn't be asking me to come sit at a table with the man who destroyed my life on the day I was supposed to feel safe. I left. I drove home. I told Hank about the conversation. Hank said, he's right, Sandra. I said, about what? He said, about all of it. You've been managing this like an event planner instead of being his mother. I said, I'm trying to keep the family together. He said, the family is already apart. Travis blew it apart. And you're asking Joel to tape it back together while Travis watches. I didn't listen to Hank. I should have. Hank is quiet. Like Joel. He doesn't say much. But when he does it's usually the thing everyone else is avoiding. January. Kendra was showing. Travis posted a photo of them together on Instagram. First public one. Smiling. His hand on her stomach. The caption said, new chapter. Joel saw it. I know because I called him that night and he said, did you see the post? I said yes. He said, he's celebrating. He got my girlfriend pregnant and he's celebrating online where all our mutual friends can see it. Did you say anything to him? I said, Joel, I can't control what Travis posts. He said, you could tell him it's cruel. You could tell him that posting that where I can see it is a deliberate choice. You could be a mother to both your sons instead of just the one who's louder. I said, Travis is excited about becoming a father. I can't take that from him. Joel went quiet. Then he said, you just prioritized Travis's excitement over my devastation. Do you hear yourself? I said, that's not what I meant. He said, that's exactly what you meant. Goodbye, Mom. He didn't pick up for 2 weeks after that. February. I made a mistake. The biggest one. The one that ended everything. Kendra's family was throwing a baby shower. March. Travis asked if I wanted to help plan it. I said yes. Because I was going to be a grandmother. And somewhere in my head I'd already separated the baby from the betrayal. The baby was innocent. The baby deserved celebration. The baby deserved family. That logic isn't wrong. The baby is innocent. But the timing. The context. The way I went about it. That's where I destroyed everything. I called Joel. I said, Kendra's baby shower is March 15th. I think you should come. Silence. I said, Joel. This baby is going to be your niece or nephew. Regardless of how it happened. This child is part of our family. I think it would mean a lot to everyone if you were there. It would show that you're healing. That you're moving forward. That you're bigger than the situation. He said, you want me to go to a baby shower for the child my brother conceived with my girlfriend while they were lying to me for 4 months. I said, I want you to show up for family. He said, show up for family. Like Travis showed up for me. By sleeping with my girlfriend in secret. That kind of showing up. I said, Joel, I know you're hurting. But holding on to this anger is going to eat you alive. You need to fix your mental health. You need to talk to someone. And you need to stop blaming Travis for something that takes 2 people. Stop blaming Travis for something that takes 2 people. I said that. Those exact words. To my son who had been cheated on. About his brother who pursued his girlfriend. I told him to stop blaming Travis. He said, Mom. Kendra told me Travis came to her job. 3 times. She said she turned him down the first 2 times. She said the 3rd time he brought her lunch and stayed for 2 hours. She said he told her that Joel was emotionally unavailable and that she deserved someone who showed his feelings. He used me. He used my personality. The thing I got from Dad. The quiet. The reserved. He weaponized it to take my girlfriend. And you're telling me it takes 2 people. I said, Kendra made a choice too. He said, I'm not talking about Kendra. I'm talking about my brother. Who targeted my girlfriend? Who manipulated her using information about me? Who sat at your Thanksgiving table knowing what he was doing? And I'm talking about my mother. Who's asking me to go to a baby shower for the result of that betrayal and calling it healing? I said, Joel, please. I'm trying to help. He said, you're not trying to help. You're trying to make this comfortable for yourself. You want everyone in the same room smiling so you can tell yourself the family is fine. The family is not fine. I am not fine. And every time you call me to suggest I attend an event celebrating the thing that destroyed me, you make it worse. You make it actively worse. I said, I think you need to see a therapist. He said, I am seeing a therapist. 3 months now. You know what she said. She said the betrayal from Travis is painful but expected from someone who's never had consequences. She said the betrayal from you is the one that's doing real damage. Because a mother choosing comfort over her child's pain is a wound that doesn't close. A mother choosing comfort over her child's pain. I didn't hear it then. I hear it now. At 2 a.m. Sitting at this table. I hear it now. He said, don't call me about the baby shower. Don't call me about Easter. Don't call me about anything until you're ready to choose me. Not Travis. Not the family. Not the baby. Me. Then he hung up. I went to the baby shower. Travis was happy. Kendra glowed. The gifts piled up. I held a tiny onesie that said Grandma's favorite and I smiled for a photo and I posted it online, and then I didn't think about Joel sitting in his apartment alone looking at a ring he'd saved for that he'd never get to use. I didn't think about it because thinking about it would have meant admitting I was at the shower and he wasn't, and that was my fault. April. Joel's birthday. I sent a text. Happy birthday. I love you. Thinking of you always. The message didn't deliver. Blue check never came. I tried calling. Number disconnected. Tried email. Bounced back. Tried Instagram. Account not found. He blocked me on everything. Every platform. Every method of communication. Erased me the way you erase a draft. Completely. Without ceremony. I drove to his apartment. The doorman. The list. Ma'am, your name is on a list. I'm not allowed to let you up. I said, I'm his mother. The doorman said, I understand, ma'am. But the instruction is clear. I stood on the sidewalk outside my son's building and I couldn't get in. Like a stranger. Like someone he'd filed a restraining order against. Except there was no restraining order. There was something worse. A choice. He chose to remove me. Voluntarily. Deliberately. Permanently. I called Hank from the car. I was crying. I said, he blocked me. On everything. I can't reach him. Hank was quiet. Then he said, Sandra. I need to tell you something. I said, what? He said, Joel calls me. Every Sunday. Has been for 5 months. My chest. I can't describe it. My son was talking to his father. Not to me. Every Sunday. I said, why didn't you tell me? He said, because he asked me not to. And I respect his boundaries. I said, he's my son. He said, he's also a grown man who made a clear decision about who he wants in his life right now. And Sandra. He told me why. He told me about the baby shower call. He told me what you said about fixing his mental health. He told me you said it takes 2 people. I said, I was trying to help. He said, you were trying to help yourself. There's a difference. He needed you to be angry for him and you were angry at him. He needed you to say Travis was wrong and you said the family needs to heal. He needed a mother and you gave him a project manager. I said, that's not fair. He said, neither is asking your son to attend a baby shower for the baby his brother made with his girlfriend. But you did that. May. The baby was born. Girl. Travis named her Iris. I held her in the hospital. She was beautiful. Perfect. Tiny fingers. Tiny nose. I cried. Because I was a grandmother. And because somewhere across the city my other son existed in a world where I couldn't reach him and this baby was the reason why. Not the baby. The adults. The choices. My choices. Travis brought Iris to Sunday dinner. Every week. I cooked. I held her. I changed diapers. I took photos. I posted them. Grandma life. Blessed. Grateful. I was performing. I know that now. I was filling the Joel-shaped hole with Iris-shaped content. If I was busy being a grandmother, I didn't have to think about the son who wouldn't speak to me. If I was holding a baby, I didn't have to hold the weight of what I did. Hank watched me. He didn't say much. He held Iris when she was handed to him. He was gentle. Present. But he didn't post photos. He didn't say blessed. He sat in his chair and he held his granddaughter, and sometimes I'd catch him looking at Joel's graduation photo on the bookshelf and his face would change in a way I couldn't read. June. Phyllis came over for lunch. My sister. She asked about Joel. I gave her the version I'd been telling. He's going through something. He needs space. He'll come around. Phyllis said, Sandra. Joel called me. I stopped chewing. She said, he called me 2 months ago. He told me everything. The affair. The baby. The shower invitation. What you said about his mental health. What you said about blaming Travis. I said, he called you? She said, he called me because I'm the only person in this family who told him the truth. I told him what Travis did was disgusting. I told him he had every right to cut off anyone who minimized it. I told him I was proud of him for protecting himself. I said, you told him to cut me off. She said, no. I told him to do whatever he needed to heal. He decided cutting you off was part of that. And Sandra. I agree with him. I said, you agree? She said, you asked that boy to attend a baby shower. For a baby conceived through his brother betraying him. And when he said no, you told him to fix his mental health. Sandra. His mental health was fine until Travis and Kendra broke it. And instead of standing with him, you stood with the people who broke it. I said, I stood with the family. She said, Joel is the family. He's the part of the family that got hurt. And you chose the part that did the hurting. You chose it every single time. Every phone call. Every dinner. Every Instagram post of you holding Iris. Every time Joel looked online and saw his mother celebrating with the people who destroyed his life. You chose it. I didn't talk to Phyllis for a month after that. Because she was right and I hated her for it. August. Travis and Kendra split up. 8 months after Iris was born. Kendra moved out. Travis called me crying. He said she was impossible to live with. She was jealous. Controlling. Accused him of cheating. He said, I would never do that to her. And I heard it. For the first time I heard the absurdity of that sentence. He would never cheat on Kendra, the woman he started sleeping with while she was dating his brother. He would never betray her. The irony was so loud I almost laughed. I didn't laugh. I said, I'm sorry, Travis. That must be hard. And then I heard myself comforting Travis. Again. About relationship pain. While Joel sat somewhere alone. Blocked me on everything. Because I spent a year comforting the wrong son. September. I went back to the therapist I'd quit. Dr. Pratt? I sat down and said, I need you to be honest with me. Even if it hurts. She said, okay. I said, did I cause this? Joel cutting me off. Is it my fault? She said, what do you think? I said, I think I made mistakes. She said, tell me the mistakes. I listed them. The baby shower invitation. The mental health comment. The it takes two people. The Instagram posts. The Sunday dinners with Travis. The not one saying I'm on your side. She said, Sandra. You just listed 6 things. How many of them did you recognize as mistakes when they happened? I said, none. She said, why? I said, because I thought I was being fair. She said, fair to who? I said, to both of them. She said, you can't be fair to both when one is the victim and the other is the perpetrator. That's not fairness. That's neutrality. And neutrality in the face of cruelty is always a choice to side with the person who caused the harm. Because the victim needs you to take a position. And when you don't, you've taken one anyway. You've told them their pain doesn't warrant your loyalty. I stared at her. She said, Joel didn't need you to be fair. He needed you to be his mother. To be furious on his behalf. To refuse to sit at a table with Travis until Travis earned the right to be there. To say out loud in front of everyone that what Travis did was unforgivable and that Joel's pain mattered more than family dinner photos. I said, I lost him. She said, you didn't lose him. You chose. You chose Travis every time. And Joel finally believed you. October. 1 year since Joel cut me off. Hank told me something from their Sunday call. Joel got promoted. Senior accountant. He also started dating someone. A woman named Samara from his gym. Hank said she was kind. Hank said Joel sounded happy. I said, does he talk about me? Hank paused. He said, sometimes. I said, what does he say? Hank said, Sandra. I don't think that's going to help you right now. I said, tell me. He said he used to wait for you to choose him. Every holiday. Every phone call. He waited for you to say I'm sorry. I was wrong. You matter more to me than keeping the peace. He said he waited for a year. And it never came. So he stopped waiting? He stopped waiting. Because I never gave him anything to wait for. November. Travis showed up at Sunday dinner with a new girlfriend. Different woman. Met her at the gym. I looked at Travis across the table. Laughing. Charming. Telling stories. And for the first time I saw it without the filter. Travis was the same person he'd always been. Impulsive. Selfish. Consequence-free. He'd gotten his brother's girlfriend pregnant. The relationship imploded. He moved on within months. And here he was at my table with a new woman like nothing happened. Because nothing happened to him. I made sure of that. I cushioned every fall. I smoothed every surface. I made the world soft for Travis and I made it hard for Joel and I called it love. Hank looked at me from across the table. He could see it on my face. He gave me a small nod. The kind that says, yeah. I know. I've been waiting for you to see it. December. 2 years since Joel's last Christmas at the house. I hung his stocking anyway. Hank looked at it and didn't say anything. Travis said, Mom, why is Joel's stocking still up? He doesn't come anymore? I said, because he's still my son. Travis said, he's the one who cut us off. If he wanted to be here, he would be. And I said something I should have said 2 years ago. I said, Travis. He cut us off because you slept with his girlfriend and I asked him to get over it. He cut us off because I invited him to celebrate the result of your betrayal and told him to fix his mental health when he said no. He didn't leave because he's stubborn. He left because I failed him. And you should be on your knees thanking God I didn't fail you the same way because you deserved worse than what you got. Travis stared at me. His girlfriend looked at her plate. Hank looked at me. He said, it's about time. I said, I know. I wrote Joel a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A handwritten letter. 3 pages. I didn't ask him to come back. I didn't ask him to forgive me. I didn't mention Travis or Kendra or Iris or the family. I said, I was wrong. About all of it. The baby shower. The mental health comment. The it takes 2 people. The Instagram posts. The Sunday dinners where I smiled across from Travis like he hadn't broken you. I was wrong about every choice I made after I found out what happened. I chose comfort over you. I chose family performance over your pain. I chose the son who was louder because he was easier to manage, and I left the son who was quieter because I mistook his silence for strength when it was actually suffering. I said, you don't owe me a response. You don't owe me forgiveness. You don't owe me anything. I'm writing this because you deserved to hear it 2 years ago and I was too afraid to say it. I mailed it to his apartment. No return address requested. 3 weeks later Hank told me Joel received it. He said Joel read it at his kitchen table. He said Joel was quiet for a long time after. I said, did he say anything about it? Hank said, he said it was the first time you sounded like his mother instead of Travis's publicist. Travis's publicist. That's what I was. For 2 years. Managing his image. Softening his consequences. Asking his victim to heal faster so Travis could be comfortable. It's been 2 months since the letter. Joel hasn't called. Hasn't written back. Hasn't unblocked me. I don't know if he ever will. But last Sunday Hank came home from the phone call and said, Joel asked about you. I said, what did he ask? Hank said, he asked if you were doing okay. My son. Who I failed. Who I chose last. Who I asked to celebrate his own betrayal and then questioned his mental health when he refused. My son asked if I was doing okay. That's who Joel is. That's who he's always been. The quiet one. The one who handles things. The one who checks on other people even when nobody checked on him. I raised 2 sons. One of them charms every room he walks into and destroys everything he touches. The other one is quiet and steady and kind and keeps his word, and I confused the first one for the better one for 29 years. Joel's stocking is on the mantle. I'm not taking it down. Not because I think he's coming back this Christmas. Because I need to see it every day. I need it to remind me what I did. What I chose. Who I overlooked. I asked my son to attend a baby shower for the baby his brother made with his girlfriend. I told him to fix his mental health. I told him to stop blaming Travis. And he did stop. He stopped blaming Travis. He stopped blaming Kendra. He stopped blaming anyone. He just left. Quietly. The way Joel does everything. And the house has been loud with Travis ever since. And I've never felt more silence in my life.